And I hope she doesn't do that while we're taping, because that
Does it?
everything you're saying now, if I do this.
It's being recorded.
Yeah. Yes. Don't let Pierre start off either, because Pierre missed about a little motivational speech. He likes to bark. It's scary to start barking. You hear anything?
All right.
How you doing today? This is Appreciating Veterans, especially on Sunday. I'm Dave Adams. I'm here talking with Mr. Bob Mice. Mr. Bob Mice is a ministerial settlement representative, and I'd like to ask you, first of all, what does that imply?
A ministerial settlement representative is with the Unitarian Universalist Association. I coach congregations through the search for a new minister. So this morning I happened to be talking with a congregation in San Mateo and was discussing with them what strategies they might use to make significant choices.
Great. What brings you to, have you done this before in San Francisco, or are you assigned here, or you just live here, or what brings you, here today?
I live in San Jose, and I'm actually assigned what's called the Pacific Central District, which starts in northern Nevada, goes across all of northern California, and Honolulu, Hawaii.
Great.
So that's the area that I work with different congregations.
Great. And what kind of like started you doing this, or what interests you in doing this?
I've done this. I guess the thing that's most important to me is that more than 35 years ago, I was a Lutheran minister. And my ministry ended very sadly. There was a lot of conflict in the congregation. And I've come to realize that part of it was because the minister and the congregation, I and my congregation, did not have a good match. And what I really love is being able to coach congregations to discover the minister that really will match with them.
Great. Okay, so in 2005, you had a heart attack or something. What was it? Does that have anything to do with you becoming this MSR?
It does. As a matter of fact, before then I was an engineering manager. And in 2005 I had a massive heart attack. I nearly died. And after that I needed to make for myself some very significant choices. And the result of those choices are that I'm still around and still able to talk about things like this.
Great. So can you tell me exactly what you actually mean by a significant choice that other people can relate to? I mean, we know it's like for you, but how's that apply to us?
Yeah, I think there are several aspects of what makes a significant choice. One example is that it affects you a lot. It changes things in your life. It might broadly impact the way you live your life, or it might have a deep impact. But for me, really, the most important aspect of a significant choice comes out of the root for the word significant, which is Latin signum, and it means sign or signal. And what I want to suggest is that a significant choice is something that is a sign of something or a signal of something, and perhaps something about ourselves.
Mm-hmm. What strategies might we use to improve our chances of a successful significant choice?
I have several suggestions that I've found very helpful, and many of the congregations that I work with have found helpful. The first is, at the very beginning of working on a significant choice, you want to increase all the options that are available to you. You want to look at all kinds of possibilities. You might even think of crazy things, so that your mind opens up to the many possibilities that are before you. The second is that I would suggest that you avoid prejudging. And it's actually related to the first one. You need to increase your options, and we often tend to think ahead that we already know what the answer is. We already have a preconceived idea of what's going to come out of our choice. And it's helpful to let go of those biases that we already have and to open our minds more broadly. The third is that we should use all the available resources, every source of information that we have that would help us to understand ourselves and to understand the options that are in front of us. Loyola University puts it this way, and this is a material that they give to their students, Loyola University in New Orleans. They say, no pertinent light that comes to us from history, science, art, or religious experience should be ignored. And I think that really fits well for any time we're making a significant choice.
So a lot of our veterans out here suffer what's known as PTSD, post-traumatic shock. And the thing is, I think it'd be good for them to, hear this today, and perhaps they can use some of your, points to help themselves out. As you just said, every little bit helps. So if you're out there watching today on YouTube, I'd like you to pay, very good attention to this, because I feel it's really good, for you to hear some fresh things on making your life better. So,
all right. So the fourth suggestion I have is to imaginatively seek to understand yourself as fully as possible. If we're making a choice that's going to be significant for us, it's important to understand what works for us, what is important to us, what we value, and what really matters to us. So as we make a good choice, it's really helpful to get to know this person for whom this choice is being made very well. So after you've understood your options very well and you've understood yourself very well, then you can begin to sort through all the options that you came up with early on and start winnowing them down and choosing out the ones that seem to be the best. It's important to be doing this because there comes a point where having too many choices in front of you, too many options, can actually be counterproductive and not helpful. Now, as we do this, it's really important to be careful as we do it, because we are closing some doors as we eliminate some of the options. So we need to be considered in our approach to doing that. Now, a sixth suggestion then is, once you've done some of that winnowing, you can now dig deeper and persistently seek to really understand your options and understand what their implications would be for your own life. Seventh, I find it really helpful if we don't just think about facts, but we also think about what our values are. If I make my choice out of my values, I'm much more likely to be able to live with that choice. I also suggest that you progressively try out the choice to the extent that you can. If there's a way to experiment with doing something that you're thinking about choosing to do for the rest of your life, and you can try it out and see how it really feels, see what it really does for you. I've found that really can help you understand the ramifications of the choice.
Yeah, not to interrupt you, but it seems like when you're base your choice on values, we have a lot of veterans today that's struggling very hard So you're kind of saying if they set a really good goal, let's say maybe to stop drinking, stop using drugs, maybe find a church, and they just stick with that, kind of like myself. I'm going through a lot of good things right now, and that's because I have set values, and I stick by them no matter what. This is very important because sometimes you lose faith in yourself, but you have to have goals and values in life. Otherwise, you're just, like going down a creek without a paddle. So I guess that's a very good point. And, well, that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. Now, some of the choices we face have to do with relationships between people and between a person and perhaps a group of people. So for example, if you're looking for a job, you're not just doing a job, you're also in relationship with the people around you as you do that job. So for those kinds of choices that deal with relationship, I think it's really valuable to do that choice, to work out that choice relationally. Relationships are much more than checklists and pluses and minuses. They're really an engaging with other people. And so as we try to make those kinds of choices, it's good to actually do that engagement. And also as we do that, to really be caring about the people that we're connecting with.
So it's a good idea then to make sure you have the best people that you want to deal with. It's like going back to those goals again. You want to start with the best people so you have a better work relationship. If you don't feel it's a good deal, maybe you shouldn't start out.
Yeah, yeah. If you feel you couldn't get along with these people anyway, it's really valuable to say, no, maybe that isn't the choice I need to make.
Right.
I need to make the choice where I can really work with someone.
So a lot of our veterans out there, if you choosing a bad road, especially here in San Francisco, only bad things are going to happen to you. If you're here in this city, and I believe it from my heart, if you're a good person, good things will happen. But that means you really got to be doing good things. So if you're out there and you're watching this today and you're thinking about doing something bad, don't do that. Do what you know is right, and your outcome will be better. There's lots of help for people here. We're here for you. AMVETS and the VA is also here for you. And also, if your discharge is bad and you need to get it upgraded, why don't you stop by Swords to Plowshares and start the application? But there's no excuse for having a bad life. Having a bad life is because you got bad thoughts. So it's a good thing to, pay attention to what's going on here today. And I think you have a good outcome. Go ahead, Bob.
No, I appreciate your thoughts there. Another aspect of making a choice in a relationship is that it's important to be clear about how you want to be in that relationship. How do you want to be experiencing this relationship? Because then you can understand what you would need in those people that you're going to be related to, and take the best advantage of that relationship. Now, another aspect actually comes to us from Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan, you may recall, said, "Trust but verify." So when we're doing a choice that has to do with relationship, it's important to actually put yourself out there and actually trust and engage with your potential partner or partners, and be willing to take that kind of risk. But it's also important to verify. It's important to ask probing questions, and make sure that you really understand how this is going to work. It's also valuable to be open to being probed yourself, and to realize that the other partner also needs to understand you well in order to make this choice.
I think it's a good point. There's a lot of people, veterans like myself, who for 20 years didn't trust the VA system from things they heard from people that's supposed to be friends and whatnot. Sometimes I think it's good to go out with an open mind and check things out for yourself and be sure of what you're hearing. Don't just listen to things, because sometimes when you're getting up in this world, there's people that don't want to see you get up. So yeah, get out there and listen and have an open mind and try to trust. I think that's a very good point, Bob. And also, don't let anybody bring you down.
Yeah. And related to that is, if your choice involves relationship, you want to fully disclose yourself. And I'm not saying that you put yourself down, but you should be honest about what you really bring into the relationship and what the relationship means to you. Ideally, you bring your whole self into it. It may seem counterintuitive. It might actually be frightening to disclose who you are and what you bring to it. But I think we need to understand that eventually the truth comes out. So why not, during this time when we're sorting through and making a good choice, be straight and honest with one another so that we can make a good choice?
Anything like that? Yeah, when I first came to San Francisco, I kind of didn't want to open up to who I was and what I'm about, but that's not the good thing to do. I've learned to talk about myself and what's going on. This way people understand who I am and what I'm about. It's very important, because later on, if things change, they'll know why it's changing and not get a surprise like with my doctor or whatever. And I think that relates to what Bob just said. You can't be a better person until you know yourself and until you express yourself. So those are all good things. What does successful mean when we're talking about significant choices, Bob?
That's a very good question. We've been talking about how you might go about it, but what does it look like? And I have 4 suggestions as to how a successful choice might look. First, a successful choice is not necessarily perfect. We're human beings. We are not perfect. Other people that we might be relating to are not perfect. Our choices are probably not going to be perfect. And sometimes to push ourselves for the very perfect choice is to push ourselves to not get any choice. And that's not a helpful thing. Second, I think a successful, significant choice is not always unquestionably right. Sometimes you're going to have some doubts about it. We can trust and verify, we can do all this work, but sometimes there's an unknown future that we just don't have full control over, and we have to kind of understand that we won't have an absolute certainty that this is the right choice, and that's okay. And a third thing I'd like to suggest is that it's important when we're making significant choices not to just accept whatever we can get, and not to just take the first available path.
You know, Bob, that's a good thing. A lot of people tell me, well, Dave, you should be doing this and doing that. And I think it's important. I should be just, living life, taking what comes along, but not just grabbing the first, head of lettuce I see in the supermarket. It's always better out there, and sometimes the first thing is not the best thing. So if we have a little patience and trust, I think that'll go a long way. Matter of fact, I was telling a friend just the other night, if you just relax, maybe say a little prayer and just, meditate, that's going to be a good thing than just snatching what you see. Some people that snatch the first time, like get married too fast, that's the person that always comes back crying, wow, you know what, Bob, I didn't make the right choice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's a very good deal.
Yeah. For me, it's really important that our significant choice be clearly good and clearly good enough. And that leads me to the final point I would make about what a successful choice looks like. And that is that sometimes we need to realize that it's important not to choose yet. Sometimes the choice that we really need to make isn't quite available yet. And therefore we need to be able to say, no, I'm not ready to choose yet. We need to be able to say, I'm going to keep digging at this, I'm going to keep working at it, and we're going to find the good choice. And if we do that, we'll most likely have a successful choice.
Yeah, Bob, this last one is very important. Sometimes choosing not to choose is a good choice because a lot of people feel threatened. You know, maybe a person gets out of jail and a buddy tells them, come on, man, let's do this job, you know. And, you know, a lot of times today it's very good to not rush into anything because thinking with a clear head is better than just running in marriage, divorce, whatever, you know. You need to take your time. So, I've been looking over what you said, and I don't know if you know, but I'm the winner of the Clear Choice Dental, and it's about $17,000 in prizes and dental work.
Wow.
So
I didn't know that.
yes, I firmly believe in everything you said here. These are very good things, and it's part of my life. I've been in San Francisco 7 months approximately, and I choose not to have certain friends, and certain people I do choose for friendship. This is all in keeping what Bob says here because I'm real to myself, and that means being real to the public. So if a person is not a good person, they absolutely cannot be my friend. So this is a good choice. And it took me a while to understand this. I am 53 years old, but the choice you make is going to affect you tomorrow. I used to have a friend that told me, you don't control life, but you control the choices you make. So thus you do control your own life. So on that, Bob, you have one more point you want to discuss with us.
Yeah. Significant choices are the ways that we sort out our life paths. Sometimes they represent important life moments when, even though we're very, very uncertain, we begin to find a new way. So I want to point out that as we're making significant choices, it's really helpful to allow yourself to be changed by the process. If your choice is really significant, it might actually be signaling or signifying who you are about to become. And it's important in the process to let that happen.
So yeah, I mean, it's like my own coming to San Francisco is for very good things. And as I said once before, I just make my choices really slowly. A lot of people tell me, well, I should be doing this and that, and I really feel that the best thing to do is just take your time, decide what you want to do. It's just simply setting goals, of course, and sticking with your goals. A lot of our people, you know, in San Francisco, we're a free society here, so whatever you want to do is okay. It may or may not be legal, but you can try it or do it. But if you're out there and you know what's right, you know, I'm imploring you to do what's right. We are veterans, and we've served our country, but we need to continue to serve our country by doing what we know is right and setting good standards for ourselves. So I'm just going to ask Bob now. Bob, you have any more suggestions that, you know, common man or veterans can do in common terms to, you know, follow what you have here?
I think it's important to take time. And very often when we're in a situation where we need to make a choice, we feel rushed, and therefore we can't take the time to actually consider all the options and do all this hard work. But it's worth the hard work when we're making a significant choice.
Well, okay. I want to thank you, Mr. Mice, for coming today. Also, in closing, Mr. Bob Mice was brought to us by D. Hun, faithful associate of AMVETS and Veterans for Peace. And we really want to thank you for bringing Mr. Mice down today. You guys, this was a wonderful show. We really enjoyed it. I'm sure the words that Mr. Mice said is going to go a long ways in making a better future for those involved. Bob, I want to thank you.
Thank
sincerely.
you, thank you.
And we'll see you next Sunday on our Appreciating Veterans, especially on Sunday. You can find us on YouTube. So till then, make the right choice. Have your goals set up.
Excellent.
Oh,
Thank you so much.
oh well, yeah.
This is cool.
Love to have you come down. Somebody's going to be able to use that, and I think they're already using it right now. Love is art.